Hello, and thank you for joining us here at the First Alert Desk. I'm Maria Moreau. It is fall officially. A lot of us feel it in the air, and some of us are even thinking about the holidays approaching. They're coming sooner than you think, and we want to make sure that we help you save a little money so that you can spend it on your friends and loved ones. And here to talk to us about the 5 ways you can clean up your finances this fall is Harry Abrahamson. He's the CEO and founder of Abrahamson Financial Group. He's also a financial advisor and expert of sorts. So Harry, thank you so much for talking with us today. I hear you got some amazing tips to help us save a little extra cash today.
Yes, thank you for having me on today. Yeah, there's a lot of things that people can do. Obviously, it's a great time of year to review things. You want to make sure that you're reviewing, all of your investments at least on a quarterly or biannual basis. We have the midterms coming up right now. There's been a lot of market volatility. So you want to just make sure that your investment objectives are aligned with what you're doing, whether you're getting ready or near retirement or you're actually, have years to go. You just want to make sure that, the amount of risk that you're taking is aligned with what your short-term and long-term objectives are.
Absolutely. And let's start with the current financial state. If an individual is looking at where their money is and looking at those goals, just thinking, how am I even going to get there with my current financial situation? What are the first steps for them to take to meet their financial goal as far as just assessing where they are currently?
Right. Well, you want to, again, if they are really getting ready to retire or in retirement, you want to make sure that they're not taking on too much risk. Obviously, maybe, throughout their working career, they were used to taking on risk, but they want to make sure that you're reassessing what you're doing from a standpoint to make sure that, you don't get caught or you don't get stuck in a market that's really, taking a bite out of your overall investments.
And let's talk about those short-term and long-term strategies. Why are both important in this situation?
You want to make sure that you're looking at things like macroeconomically. I would go back to, when you look at, before inflation, right? So what were you doing before all of this happened? A lot of people now are feeling inflation, which is really maybe a time for them to look at, okay, what are you going to do with your finances, right? Even another thing is to look at rising interest rates. Maybe people have mortgages and they're trying to figure out, okay, is this mortgage going to increase? Is the payments going to increase, which could create a problem? So they may want to possibly consider refinancing that mortgage. Even though rates are higher, you may want to consider, okay, let me refinance, because otherwise maybe that payment is going to increase in the future, and then you're not going to be able to really afford it, which can also have a real bad impact on your financial picture.
I'm glad you brought up inflation. That seems to be a common concern for a lot of people, just saying, hey, I'm just trying to make it by at this point. From your experience, both as a financial advisor and as someone who's led other people in their financial habits, what are some daily steps that people can take, whether it's lowering a bill or otherwise, to make sure that they can even get started on setting a financial goal?
There are things that people can do. One of the things that you can do, and I know this is going to sound a little like, okay, why didn't I do this before? But simply, if you want to try to look at your bills, just make a phone call. Call people up and say, hey, look, I'm looking to save some money. Is there anything that we can do to save a little bit of money on your bills? That's a really important thing. Another thing that you may want to consider to help out with inflation is find money. And a lot of times when we're working with people, we'll look at things like maybe their 401k temporarily, just lower that 401k down to the match, just to give you a little extra cash in your paycheck. Maybe look at your W-4 exemptions. And again, this is just short-term decisions that you're making. It's not like you need to stop doing everything altogether, but you may want to just adjust things according to what's happening right now to free up some extra money to give yourself a chance to say maybe, to afford to pay for the things that you're looking to do, whether it's food or maybe it's covering a rent or your mortgage, things like that.
And for those that are looking after maybe family members or just couples, working in a team financially, what are some of the things that you say to them about having a conversation around money and setting goals together?
Yeah, I mean, that's super important right now because we have a lot of the baby boomers retiring. And so there's a lot of people, trying to help their parents, take care of their parents. There are ways to cut costs. There's ways to eliminate certain bills. There's a lot of family plans that people can go on. So that way, if you do have a parent that's, in retirement or they're, elderly, you can actually do things together to help identify maybe ways to cut some costs. And also it's important to maybe look at what is going to be, what do you want to do with maybe real estate, or do you want to protect your assets? There's a lot of things that you can do in terms of having these conversations with your parents.
We talk about money, which really affects all of us, and part of that is assessing your situation and knowing where to go from there. In your 5 ways to clean your finances this fall, you talk a little bit about just having a conversation with companies that can help you lower your bill. How should someone initiate that conversation as far as getting their spending down so they can start saving?
Yeah, well, you want to really take an inventory of where your monthly expenses are. There's a lot of software programs out there that will help you identify your spend habits. And then the next step would be to really contact people, whether it's a utility company, it could be an insurance company, and ask for ways to reduce those expenses. And together, maybe working with an advisor to work through all the nuances of all this would probably have a positive impact in your overall financial picture.
And then we talk about credit. I mean, the need to have good credit, to take out loans, to oftentimes meet those goals, maybe buying a house or a car. It's not every day we get to talk to a financial advisor. So what are the biggest things that people forget or don't understand really properly about credit, and what can they do to make sure that their credit score is where they want it to be?
Well, the most important thing is to look at and make sure that there's no errors on that report. So you want to make sure they're reporting everything accurately. If for some reason things are not looking right or they're not reporting right, you should consult with a reputable repair company, credit repair company, to help you fix the problem and the incorrect information. Also, super important to try to pay your bills on a timely basis, because that can also impact your credit. Even if you're late, sometimes it'll have a negative impact. So you want to make sure that the information is being reported correctly, and that also you're trying to pay your bills on a timely basis.
We're speaking with Harry Abrahamson. He is the CEO and founder of Abrahamson Financial Group. I want to make sure we don't leave anything out as we're talking about just the starting point of making sure you can meet your financial goals. Is there anything that people really miss out on that they should be focusing on around this time of year?
Well, again, I would say really what's happening right now with inflation and costs increasing, you just want to make sure that you're not going into debt. We have the holidays are coming up right now. So maybe, taking these, some of the ideas we discussed here with finding money, looking at your 401k, because the worst thing you want to do is now start to go further and further into debt, creating a problem. And then now you're starting off the new year, not the right way.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, this full interview is going to be on our website, atlantanewsfirst.com, with a link to more resources so you can start putting more money back in your wallet. Harry, thank you so much.